Before we get today's show started, I would like you, all my viewers today, to bow your head for a moment of silence for all the victims and their families of the September 11th attacks. Thank you. And welcome to the Past and Present podcast. I'm your host, Alan the Great. You already read the description, you already read the title, so you know what we're going to talk about it. So let's get into the show. So we all have that family member, right? You all have the family member in your family that just does something crazy, right? That does something to get you in trouble. See, you don't know fear until you see your grandmother come into the house with a paddle like 2 inches thick or tell you go get a switch off your tree for a whooping. Now, see, the younger generation, y'all probably don't know nothing about that. Y'all don't know nothing about go get a paddle and that two inch thick or that's go get a switch or a 2 inch thick paddle. You don't know nothing about that. Younger generation don't know nothing about that. So ask your moms, your older cousins, your older brothers. They more know about that. Younger people, you don't know nothing about that. But you never knew fear until you had that. See, in my household, my grandma, God rest her soul, my cousin, if any one of us did anything, we all got whipping. I'm talking about if anybody in our household did something, any of the kids, we all got beaten. And always got that one cousin who always was doing something. He was always getting in trouble, so he was always getting a whipping. He was getting so much trouble he had his name written on the paddle, okay? And we always got beaten because we were guilty by association, and it was just the craziest thing. But he knows I love him. But anyway, so in this, I know you probably wondering what does this have to do with September 11th attacks. So I always wonder: does the Muslims in America, in the world, feel the same way about the extremist jihadists? Extremist Muslims that caused the September 11th attacks? Excuse me, are the ones who are causing havoc all around the world? Do they feel the same way because now they're being put in the same group as these extremist Muslims? I always wonder about that. Hold on, did I just compare my cousin to a extremist Muslim? Oh, my fault. I'm sorry. Well, I could have said that, fear was, well, I accidentally almost broke my mom's lamp, but, she can't be mad at me either way because the statute of limitation has expired on the lamp almost getting broken, so my mom can't get mad. So, Mom, sorry about telling you about that. All right, let's get to the show. I'm talking too much about my own personal stuff. So we're here to talk about today's September 11th attacks, but not so much of that, but what led up to it. So in order to get into what led up to the September 11th attacks, what do we have to do? We got to jump in our DeLorean. We got to hit the gas pedal, go up to 85 miles per hour, and shoot back to World War II. Yeah, we got to go that far back to get really into it. Now, this is going to touch on a lot of different subjects, but we're going to address a lot of these different subjects in another episode. So I'll finally briefly touch on it. Don't take it personal. I'm just briefly touching on it because I'm going to do an episode on some of these other things later. But the September 11th attacks tie into so many things in history. They say the past always dictates the present and that you can see your future based on past events. Well, the September 11th attacks prove that. It proves that so much. And let me explain how. So we have to go back to Pearl Harbor, okay? Now, for you who don't remember Pearl Harbor, don't know nothing about Pearl Harbor, I'm not going to tell you to look it up. I'll just explain it to you, okay? Pearl Harbor was our military base in Hawaii. The Japanese had surprise attacked Pearl Harbor without us knowing. Now, did we not know as Americans that they were going to attack it? Listen, that's a debate for a whole nother day. Anyway, so they surprise attacked us, killed a lot of people, a lot of civilians as well as military personnel, damaged a lot of ships, and it caused us to get into World War II. Okay, it caused America to join World War II. Now, as we're fighting the Japanese, and we declared war on Japanese, let's talk about Russia, who was known as the Soviet Union at that time. They were in a battle with Hitler and Germany. So, towards the end of World War II, where Germany was against the ropes, America joined in to kick Hitler out of Europe. Now, Soviet Union wanted to help out with was going to help us out with taking care of Japan. See, here's the issue with that and how it leads to today. America had a dilemma. If the Soviet Union helped us defeat Japan, the Soviet Union will want a bigger piece of the pie. What I mean, a bigger piece of the pie, they will want more divide of the world, not just a country of the world. So they will want a piece of Japan. See, we wanted a bigger piece of Japan, so we had to split that with them, as well as other parts of the world that we were not as a country, but trying to take back from Hitler and Germany. Because if you know anything about that, Hitler was up there grabbing everything up. Now listen, stay with me, people. I know you're probably like, why is he talking about World War II? We're talking about September 11th. We're going to get to it, okay? We're going to get to it. Just be patient, okay? Be patient. I got you. It's a long story. So anyway, so Soviet Union, so what we did was to end the war with Japan before the Soviet Union could join, was we dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think I said it right, Nagasaki. So we dropped the atomic bomb on both of those countries, on both of those cities. That forced Japan to surrender, okay? Now here's where the issue and the dilemma comes, where we start to talk about September 11th, okay? Now, Soviet Union was upset with America because they felt that we took too long to send soldiers and join the war against Hitler. And because we took so long, millions of Soviet Union soldiers had died. But that wasn't the only issue, because as men, you all know this, one of the biggest problems we have is what? You got ego. Ego and power is one of the biggest problems we have. And unfortunately, we're dealing with big countries and superpowers. That's the issue too. So the other issue was Soviet Union at the time wanted to be a superpower. Not just a superpower, they wanted to be the superpower on the world stage. They wanted to be the superpower. So this became a conflict, an underlying conflict between America and the Soviet Union. Now this is going to lead to the Cold War, which we'll eventually get to. But we're going to touch on the Cold War just briefly. But we're not going to get real deep into it. So Soviet Union started to cause little skirmishes between America. One of the skirmishes was they gave North Korea the okay to invade South Korea. Okay? Now, why is that important to what we're talking about today? You'll find out in 1 second. So, North Korea was invaded South Korea. America came in as a policing operation to get North Korea out of South Korea. Soviet Union was in the background giving North Korea weapons, supplies, and everything to help fight back. Even giving them planes to fight back against America and South Korea, okay? So we're going to fast forward a little bit, and we're going to go to the Vietnam War, okay? We're going to go to the Vietnam War now. So during the Vietnam War, America was fighting North Vietnam. Now, as we're fighting North Vietnam, Soviet Union, once again, still having an underlying issue with America, was giving weapons to who? You got it, North Korea. So, I'm sorry, North Vietnam. What's about the North and Soviet Union? They got a thing with the North, don't they? I don't know, I'm digressing. So anyway, they was giving weapons to North Vietnam, right? And they was giving them weapons and strategies on how to fight America. Because one thing a lot of countries know about America is America's not going to risk a lot of lives. So you know the story about Vietnam, and we'll get to that in another show. I'm not going to go into it. Long story short, America abandoned the war in Vietnam, okay? Alright, so you know how it is. No good deed goes unpunished. And America, like us, you know how you are. If somebody does something wrong to you, you're not going to let it go, right? You got to be petty, right? You got to get some get back, right? So now we're going to flash forward into how this all ties into September 11th. Because this is where the get backs come, okay? So Soviet Union, and you got to look at the map, where Afghanistan kind of borders the Soviet Union, which is now known as Russia. Well, you don't know. So if I keep saying Soviet Union, you're like, where's Soviet Union? Soviet Union was the name before Russia, okay? It's supposed to be a worker's paradise. I'll get into that another subject, trust me. I'll talk about that later. But Afghanistan bordered Soviet Union and Russia, okay? Now, Russia at the time was trying to influence Afghanistan to have more of a Western type feel to it. Western type democracy, not democracy, but have communist. Also, they was trying to switch up some things like, okay, women have the right to vote, women have the right to education, women have freedoms that they necessarily didn't have. Now, if you know anything about the Muslim religion, in some Muslim areas, they don't give women the same rights and equal rights as men. So women don't have the equal right to get education. They just recently got the equal right to drive. This is still a big thing in some Muslim countries. So basically what was happening was Russia was trying to change kind of how the Muslims were running their country in Afghanistan. But was it just about changing that? No, there was a bigger underlying issue there. And yes, America tied into this. The reality of the situation is there was a struggle still going on between Russia or Soviet Union and America trying to control the oil-rich Middle East. And I got asked a question when I was in college, right? Yes, I was in college. Believe me or not, I'm in college. Yes, I have a 3.6 GPA. I'm not an idiot. I actually study and know what I'm talking about. Was that a brag? I don't know. I digress. So anyway, I was asked a question by my professor in college in a world history class. He said, "Why do you think that everybody's so interested in Afghanistan?" And I said, it's a big chessboard, and anybody that plays chess, where you position yourself on chessboard is the most important thing. And I said, putting your American having a foothold in Afghanistan is very important if we ever have a conflict with Soviet Union or Russia. Russia feels the same way. It's all about chess. That's what it all comes down to. But I think I may have been wrong in that, and I'll touch on that in another subject. But I may have been wrong. So needless to say, I digress. Back to September 11th. Needless to say, so Russia was trying to have an influence on Afghanistan, okay? So Afghanistan people weren't having it. They looked for support from America to fight back against Russia and to push them out so they can maintain their way of living. So America looked at this as an opportunity to actually get Russia back for interfering with the Vietnam War and the Korean War. So what did we do? We paid Russia back. We supplied weapons to Afghanistan soldiers and people, as well as training and strategies on how to fight back Russia. And this war went on for 10 years. So in the course of this 10-year war, a person who was very important to what happened to September 11th and the tragedies that happened on September 11th came into the picture. Can you guess who was recruited from Saudi Arabia? Because at the time, Afghanistan was recruiting fighters from Saudi Arabia to come to Afghanistan to help fight back against the Russians. Do you think who was one of the key people that was recruited? Come on, people, you got it. Come on, think really hard. Come on, you got to engage with me. Come on, think really hard. All right, give up. Osama bin Laden was recruited from Saudi Arabia to come to Afghanistan and help fight against the Soviet Union in the 10-year war, okay? Now, Osama bin Laden liked Afghanistan because there were some extremist point of views in Afghanistan. He felt closer to the extremist point of views. So once he came to Afghanistan, he fell in love with the country. He fell in love with the extremist views because it brought him closer to what he believed. So he helped fight against helped fight against Soviet Union. And long story short, and we'll get into, like I said, we'll get into that more, but after the 10-year war, Afghanistan pushed the superpower Russia out. Now, one, that's an embarrassing loss, just like it was for America, for the Soviet Union and Russia, to be a superpower and get pushed out by a smaller country like Afghanistan, and basically a bunch of fighters who were just villagers or like farmers and such, because that's what Afghanistan is. It's a lot of tribes and stuff, okay? So it pushed them out of the country, okay? Now, this is important, because this is getting to September 11th now. Now, as they pushed them out, what happened was a lot of the camps, soldier camps, started to promote more of extremist point of views, okay? And this is how Al-Qaeda was created. They were created in these soldier camps at the time during the Soviet Afghanistan war. So towards the end, the extremist groups started to take more power and more control, okay? As they took more power and more control, then they actually started to want to take over the country. So now these extremist groups, Al-Qaeda, fought to take over full politics and take over the political system of the country. That's what happened. Now they're feeling the strength. They're feeling like Superman from winning the war. So now I'm okay. Now I'm going to take over the whole country now. Now I want to just take over the whole thing. So they took over the political system, and Al-Qaeda started to run Afghanistan. They became the governing system of Afghanistan. Now we're going to move a little further, okay? Now, I believe it's 92, 93. Oh, I'm going to skip something real quick. Hold on, let me go back real quick. Sorry. They skip something. So, also, Al-Qaeda was doing little bombs and stuff. They were bombing embassies and such things, but they wasn't really poking up on the world scale. Like, they wasn't really poking up on people's maps. America and other countries wasn't really giving Afghanistan the play in the time of day or really the attention that they were looking for. And Afghanistan wasn't really taking responsibility for any of these attacks and stuff were happening. So anyway, we'll move forward now. Let's go up to Iraq War 92, 93. But before we get there, I gotta just touch on something real quick. Because I used to say Iraq never attacked America, but I was wrong. My research proved that Iraq actually did attack America, the American ship one time, but Ronald Reagan took Iraq's apology and let him go. But I didn't also know, and this is very important to share it to you, because later on in the story, Reagan also gave Iraq the blueprints to make chemical weapons. Surprising, right? That's crazy, right? Didn't know that either, but you'll understand why the importance of this later on in the show. But anyway, just keep that in mind. Ronald Reagan gave Iraq the blueprints to make chemical and weapons of mass destruction. Crazy, right? So let's get forward. Let's keep going forward. So anyway, Iraq started to feel a squeeze because Kuwait was overproducing oil. Iraq was overproducing. Kuwait was overproducing oil. Iran and Iraq got into a battle, which Iraq won the war between Iran. So Iraq, just like Al Qaeda, they feeling like Superman. They strong. They winning. They on top of the game. So Kuwait is overproducing oil. Iraq is getting mad because the fact that Kuwait was overproducing oil meant that the oil prices were dropping dramatically. Now we need that now because I don't know about you, but these gas prices are killing me. So anyway, this was causing a squeeze on Iraq and Iraq because of Kuwait overproducing oil was causing a squeeze on Iraq. Okay, so it was causing a squeeze on Iraq to the point it was destroying their economy. Their economy was going bankrupt. So Iraq tried to talk to America, like, hey, I need to do something about Kuwait. They're overcharging, they're overproducing oil. It's causing issues. So America, we don't really care. If you guys step in and handle it, that's fine. We don't really care. That's what America said. Okay, that's important. That's what America said. But they'll never admit that they said that. This is what was supposed to be said behind the scenes. So anyway, Iraq then invaded Kuwait. Now, if you don't know anything about Kuwait, Kuwait is like Beverly Hills. It's like Beverly Hills here. Kuwait is like the Beverly Hills of America. They have all kinds of rich. It's a very rich country, but it's also a very small country. You call it a poor country. It's not poor. Very small country. Okay. So I'm talking about Bentleys, oil-rich company, a lot of money. Country, a lot of money. So Iraq invaded Kuwait. Now, of course, America on a large state, we can't allow that to happen. And the fact of the matter is, America needed a reason to attack Iraq this time because, once again, we wanted to take control of the oil-rich Middle East. So Kuwait, they invaded Kuwait. Oh no, we can't have that. This is Hitler all over again. He's attacking a smaller country. He's eating up countries. He invaded Iran, which we said was okay. And even though Iraq was our friend, we were giving weapons to Iran. Now we have to protect Kuwait. So during Iraq attacking Kuwait, something important happened. This is really important to September 11th. If y'all like, well, this dude's like way off subject. I thought we was talking about the journey of how we get into September 11th. This is one of the most important facts on how we got to September 11th. So be ready for this. This is very important, okay? Check this out. So when Iraq invaded Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, who was on the border of Kuwait, became afraid. They became afraid that Iraq was going to invade them as well because they are oil-rich country as well. So they said, okay, Iraq invaded Kuwait. What's to stop them from coming into Saudi Arabia? So Saudi Arabia needed help to protect them from Iraq. So now, mind you, Al Qaeda is big in Afghanistan. They're running the government. Osama bin Laden is huge in Al Qaeda. So he goes to Saudi Arabia like, hey, Al Qaeda will protect you. Al Qaeda protects Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia said, no, it's okay. America's going to protect us. Now, this enraged Osama bin Laden. This enraged the Muslim community in general because they don't like to have American or outside sources to be in their country, have a presence in their country. And America never colonized Saudi Arabia. Well, we was there to protect Saudi Arabia. So this enraged Osama bin Laden. Okay? This enraged Osama bin Laden to a point now that he went on to BBC channel, and if you never checked out BBC, check it out. It's an amazing channel. If you like documentaries, history, just the news, they're very, very they're not like in the middle. They're not like really having an agenda. They're very good at just giving you the straight facts. And BBC, I need a check now because I just gave you a hell of a check. I gave you a hell of a promotion. So yo, I need a check. So BBC, cut me a check. All right? No, I'm serious. Cut me a check. All right. Well, sorry. Anyway, so. Let's get back on it because we don't have a lot of time. So basically, Osama bin Laden went on BBC in his first ever interview and was basically declared war on America. Okay, and this is very important. He declared war on America, but America still didn't pay Osama bin Laden no attention. He was still a small blimp on our scale. Okay, we were monitoring, we were checking him out, but we weren't really thinking, oh, Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda was this big thing, this big deal. So yeah, he declared war on us, and we know about the attacks on the World Trade Center. I think it was in 93, 9/3. Yeah, World Trade Center attack on 9/3, which was a failed attempt. They tried to bomb, ignite a car bomb. That didn't do well. Okay, so he declared war on us, and extremist jihadist, I think I said it right, jihadist views. You have to alert your enemy that you're going to attack them. So anyway, we didn't pay attention to Osama bin Laden wanted to attack us. But one of his reasons for wanting to attack America was because of our interference and to protect Saudi Arabia, who was his home country. Now, mind you, Osama bin Laden coming from a royal family and rich family in Saudi Arabia, okay? And the fact that they didn't want him to protect his own family, how dare you? Could you imagine that? Like, somebody's ready to attack your cousin, and your cousin like, nah, it's okay. Sheriff from across the street is going to protect me. I'm okay. I don't need your help. You're like, yo, what the hell? What you mean, Sheriff from across the street? I'm your cousin. Let me protect you. And then you're going to have an issue, right? So Osama bin Laden had the same issue. I'm not trying to make light of September 11th, but, sometimes you got to laugh from crying, right? So anyway, so he was pissed off about that. Okay, he was pissed off about Saudi Arabia looking for American help and not accepting the help of Al-Qaeda. So once again, he has the S on his chest. He's Superman, so of course he feels like, yo, we're going to do something about this. So now I'm going to fast forward to 2001. Okay? Now I don't need to tell you about 2001, September 11, 2001, because one thing I know for a fact, that we all know exactly where we were when that happened. Where was I at? I was working at a nursing home. Let me tell you something. I had some crappy jobs, okay? I had some really crappy jobs. I'm not going to tell you some of the crazy jobs I had. All right, so I will. I used to work at a prison, cleaning prison cells and stuff like that, and that was just disgusting. Yeah, and at this time, September 11 attacks happened, I was working at a nursing home, okay? I was working at a nursing home, and in a nursing home, they had day room for the residents where they get to watch TV. Now, I remember walking past the day room, and I wasn't supposed to be watching TV, but they can't fire me now because I don't work there no more. Anyway, so I walked past the day room, and they were watching the news, and of course, the first plane had already hit one of the World Trade Centers. I remember watching it, and everybody's in shock, and they're saying that, I believe they were saying that they think this was an accident, the plane accidentally hit the towers, but anybody been to New York knows there's no way that plane should be flying that low in New York for all the skyscrapers and high buildings in New York to be able to hit the tower. So as watching the news, this is when horror and true fear kicked into me and all other Americans. When that second plane smashed into that second tower. That's when we knew, for the first time since Pearl Harbor, that America was under attack. And most of us is too young to even live through, and I know I am, to live through Pearl Harbor, so we never felt a fear like that. We never experienced anything like this. And, yeah, it was a scary moment. And I always say September 11 attacks, and people may disagree with me, I say it showed the best and the worst of America. It showed our resolve because even though we took such a big hit, we was able to stand up. We was able to get up. We took a big hit that day. But our resolve, our strength as a nation, we stood up and we got up and we said, okay, we're fighting back. Yeah, we were a little scared. We're a little riled, but we're not down. It didn't take us down. We got up and we were ready to fight. We were ready to come back and serve justice to whoever caused these attacks. But it also showed the worst in us and the racism that we still show in this country. And we're not going to get into that in the show. But how we started to turn our backs on Muslims in the communities in America, turn our backs on the Muslims in mosques and so forth, and it still goes on to this day, where they are isolated, and we still have an issue with Muslims because we think they all harbor extremist point of views. And just to briefly touch on that, let me explain something to you people. There is a very big difference between general Muslims and Muslims with extremist views. Okay, one, they don't share the same dialogue. Okay, they don't share the same dialogue, same beliefs, and the extremist Muslims have killed more actual Muslims than they did anybody else. This is a fact. This is a fact, people. I'm not here to defend anybody, but I want to give you the facts on it, okay? So September 11th attack happened, and it was a very scary time. Like I said, a lot of us still remember it. Our prayers and condolences go to the victim's family, and our thank yous go with the first responders who ran into these buildings and tried to save people, as well as the ordinary citizens who did, and the soldiers who went to serve justice. It was a sad, tragic moment in American history. So September 11 attacks happened, and remember George Bush, he was in the classroom, and he's sitting there with it looking like they came to give him news, and he looked like he was trying to hold in a fart, and he said he was really, really mad. I was really, really mad when he told me, but I hate to see him pissed off because you look like he's holding a fart, former President George Bush. But anyway, so he immediately said it was Osama bin Laden who was responsible for the attack, which was kind of interesting that you knew that right off the bat. But maybe you didn't know, maybe you didn't. We'll get into that in another subject, okay? Because the intelligence community still deal with conflict where they say that they didn't have enough information, boots on the ground to know the attacks was happening. But however, there's other people that are saying there was plenty of warnings to know that this attack was coming. So anyway, we're going to fast forward a little bit past September 11th because I don't really need to go into the details of what happened that day. We all know. It's still fresh in our minds what happened that day. So some of the aftermath of it, because now we're getting to present times, aftermath was of course we invaded Afghanistan. Was also an opportunity to invade Iraq. So George Bush Jr., whose dad who invaded Iraq in the early 90s, sees an opportunity to do some unfinished business. Now I can take over the Middle East and oil-rich Iraq. So he said that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction and they're harboring terrorists, okay? Now, this is why I said the Ronald Reagan thing is important and why Saudi Arabia and Iraq invading Kuwait and all this comes into play, okay? It's where all this connects. Mind you, I said Ronald Reagan had given Saddam Hussein blueprints to create a weapon of mass destruction and chemical weapons. He didn't give him chemical weapons. It's important to say this. He did not give him chemical weapons. America did not give him weapons of mass destruction. But Ronald Reagan gave blueprints to make these. Now Saddam Hussein was using this on the Sunni community in Iraq. Okay? This is very important to say that. So, now after September 11th, we used that as a reason to go into Iraq and kick Saddam out. And we did. Operation Iraqi Freedom went into effect. We went into Iraq. We defeated the Iraqi army and kicked Saddam Hussein out. Now, when you talk about ISIS and you wonder where does ISIS come at in all this, ISIS was formed due to they're made up of former Iraqi soldiers as well as Al Qaeda. After we destroyed Al Qaeda, basically Iraqi soldiers didn't have a job, didn't have a place to go after the war. America wasn't really ready to put in the right political system and the right person to run Iraq after we kicked Saddam Hussein out. So it became instability in the whole Middle East. And this is how ISIS came to play. Now, we defeated Al Qaeda. We kicked Saddam Hussein out. Okay. Syria has a conflict between their country. They're dealing with a revolutionary civil war. Is it civil? Yeah, civil war between their government and their people. Now, you got Iraqi people who are a little pissed off because now they don't have a home job or anything. They don't have a purpose, so they connected. They get into Syria, and Syrians made a terrorist group that was more deadly, more dangerous than Al Qaeda ever was or ever will have been in ISIS. So now we have a whole nother issue now. Now we have ISIS to deal with. And all this stems from, like I said, way back in the day. This is like a long trend to build this. And now we have ISIS that we're fighting against. And that's a whole nother beast and a whole nother day and a whole nother subject that we have to go with. So, like I said, Saddam Hussein's out. We never found the weapons of mass destruction that we were looking for, but no surprise. And Osama bin Laden was, as you know, was killed. He was found in a compound in Pakistan, and he was in the center of Pakistan where the military academy. Y'all know what West Point is? West Point is our big military academy. I mean, it's for the who's who of military. The most intelligent. So could you imagine somebody who's on the America's Most Wanted list, like literally living in a huge mansion right next to West Point? Like, come on, people, like, in America, like, oh, we didn't know he was there. And that's what it was with Osama bin Laden. He was living in a huge compound right in the middle of Pakistan. They didn't know that he was there. All right, come on. And by the way, Saudi Arabia. So anyway, no, let me stop right there. So we eventually, Osama bin Laden. Barack Obama basically had gave the green light to a mission to go in to kill or capture Osama bin Laden, which we did, and we finally brought him to justice. Now, there's one more important point I make before I end this video and end this show. Saudi Arabia is currently being sued by many of the victims of 9/11. Why are they being sued? Because they had given money and finances to the terrorists that attacked us on September 11th. Now, don't get my numbers correct. Don't quote me on my numbers. I believe it's 18 to 11 of the terrorists who were responsible for September 11th attacks were native Saudi Arabians, and they were given money and access to America, were training and such to carry out the attacks. Why is it interesting? Because didn't this whole thing kind of start from us defending Saudi Arabia? And now you're sitting here telling me that Saudi Arabia gave these guys money to attack us? We were defending you. We got into the part of this conflict because we were trying to defend you against Iraq, and then you telling me you gave them money to attack us? And this is what happened, people. What Chris Brown say, these hoes ain't loyal? These countries ain't loyal, but then again, I can't say America was too loyal because, like I said, during the Iraq-Iran war, we were supposed to be on Iraq's side and we was giving weapons to Iran. But no here or there. So many of the victims are suing Saudi Arabia right now. Now, Barack Obama tried to veto a bill to stop. Well, Barack Obama basically tried to veto a bill in order to stop the people from 9/11 to sue Saudi Arabia. And you're probably saying, why would he do that and trying to think he's like the worst person in the world? The reason for him trying to block the bill was because he felt if we were able to sue Saudi Arabia government and royal family for the September 11th attacks, then they would be able to sue American soldiers and the government for attacks and things that happened overseas. So he felt that it would turn into a chain reaction. Well, a judge, I believe in Illinois, had overturned, and don't quote me on that either because I can't remember exact state, but overturned the veto, and they are now in 2018 allowed to sue Saudi Arabia for the September 11th attacks. Now, on the eve of September 11th, I felt this was important to put this video out, to put this show out. I hope this helps you and informs you on how the September 11th attacks had transpired. Now, I viewed and searched the internet for reasons of attacks, and what I found out was that there's a lot of documentaries on the day of September 11th. There's a lot of talks about and videos of showing footage of September 11th, but there's not a lot to teach you about what led up to it. And there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, so I hope I put all the pieces to the puzzle together for you and that you now have a better understanding of what happened. To the victims' families and to some of the victims still alive, I hope this brought some kind of comfort to you and awareness to what happened. And I know this doesn't change the fact of what happened, and this was never meant to, doing this video was never meant to, but sometimes just the understanding of some things, of understanding of what happened can add just a little bit of comfort, you know. If you ever lost someone you know to a violent crime, you know, sometimes just knowing why or what happened adds some comfort. It doesn't change the fact that that person's not here anymore, but it adds some comfort. So I hope this adds some comfort, and I thank you for listening to another episode of the Past to Present podcast. I'm your host, Alan Great. Please hit me up on Facebook, Past Present. Email me, past to present, past number two present at podcast at gmail.com. Hit me up on Instagram, Alan the Great. On Instagram, please subscribe to my channel, comment, like, share. Come on, rate this video. If you like my show, if you like the episodes that we're doing, if you like the information we're talking about, then I really need your support so we continue to grow and we keep this thing going, where we have fun with history and we talk about history and go beyond what they teach you in textbooks. I want to thank you for viewing this show. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you join me next week for another great episode. Until then, stay tuned.